both. Our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ibn Taymiyyah alayhi rahmatullah, Ibn al-Qayyim counted a thousand miracle of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We're live. طيب. So, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulullah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. Number 4. The fourth minor sign is انقراض الصحابة الكرام, the disappearing of the noble companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this is also done. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose him as the final messenger, and Allah chose for him companions. So every single companion of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is chosen by Allah. And the definition of a Sahabi, who is a Sahabi? الصحابي هو من رأى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم مسلما, a person who saw Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم or witnessed his time, because رأى doesn't literally mean see, because there were companions who were blind. So a person who witnessed the time of Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم and saw him, whether it's a vision seeing or living with him, and he became Muslim while Rasulullah was alive, and this person died as a Muslim. وَإِن تَخَلَّلَتْهُ رِدَّةٌ, even if he leaves Islam in the middle and returns, okay, if he abandoned Islam for a period of time, and this person returns back, he's still considered a Sahabi. So everybody is clear with that now? So Sahabi is someone who did what? Saw Rasulullah, and then became Muslim, and then in the life of the Prophet, because there are people who saw Rasulullah, they lived with him, but they did not become Muslim till he passed away. Those people are not considered Sahaba, even though they saw Rasulullah more than some of the Sahaba. But to be a Sahabi, to be a chosen, and the Sahaba, as we said, they're chosen, radiyallahu anhum wa radu an. They have rules. Allah is pleased with them, and they're pleased with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is very important to understand the Sahaba. There is one Sahabi, there is one Tabi'i. They said, Ibn al-Qayyim said, if I was told that he had a heart attack, I wouldn't be surprised. Anybody know his name? I'll tell you his story and search his name up, okay? That's your homework. He arrived to Medina on Monday, the 12th of Rabi'ul Awwal, after Salatul Fajr. Does this day remind you of anything? That's the day that Rasulullah passed away, and he got buried on Wednesday. So this man came to Medina, he arrived to Medina, he settled in Medina, he went to pray Fajr. They told him what? Rasulullah died. Can you imagine? He missed being a Sahabi by a night, if he came a little. So Ibn al-Qayyim said, and others, they said, if this person had a heart attack, like he heard that in here, I wouldn't be surprised. Why? Because he just missed seeing Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And there's another person that they always differ on. He has also a great story when we talk about the Sahaba, because the Sahaba, Ibn Mas'ud said, Allah have looked into the hearts of the humans at that time, and he found no heart to be like the heart of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so he chose him to be his prophet. And then Allah looked into the hearts of the humans at that time, and he chose his companions to be his companions. Like they're favored. Me and you are not there, okay? We're not companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So there is no, the least among them, and there is none, is better than any of us. Because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if one of you if you spend as equal to the amount on this earth of gold and silver, the dust of this earth, and they spend only half, not a full hand span, only half, their sadaqah of dust is better than your gold and silver. So this Sahabi, this person, they differ on him because he lived in Yemen. Anybody know his name? Huh? No? Uwais al-Qarni. Uwais al-Qarni, he sent Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam a message. He said, Ya Rasulullah, I'm going to migrate to you and I'm going to come and visit you. But I have a sick mother. If I leave her behind, no one would take care of her. So what would be your advice? And Rasulullah said, stay with your mother. He said, Wallahi, if it wasn't my mother, I would favor nothing but to see you. So he waited for his mother. Rasulullah said, Man ra'ahu, whoever sees him, you should ask him to make dua because his dua is accepted. So Umar radiallahu anhu saw him when he came, because Rasulullah died, he came at the time of Abu Bakr. He migrated from Yemen to Medina. When he came and Umar saw him, Umar went after him and he said, are you Uwais? He said, yeah. He said, make dua for me, for Allah to forgive me. He said, you want me to make dua for you? You're Umar. Like, Umar is the second best man after Rasulullah. So he said, you want me to make dua for you? He said, yes, Wallahi, I heard that your dua is accepted because of how much you took care of your mother. And Rasulullah said that to us. So the scholars differ. Is he a companion or not? But the truth is, he missed it because he didn't see the Prophet. He didn't witness to see Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he is from the great or the eldest of the tabi'een radiallahu anhu wa arda. So what is the hadith we have today for the Sahaba? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, النجوم أمانة السماء فإذا ذهبت النجوم أتى السماء ما توعد وأنا أمانة لأصحابي فإذا ذهبت أتى أصحابي ما يوعدون وأصحابي أمانة لأمتي فإذا ذهب أصحابي أتى أمتي ما يوعدون. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, the stars are a source of security for the sky. And when the stars disappear, there will come to the sky what is promised, which is the shooting stars. Okay? So as long as you see stars in the sky, then there is no shooting stars. When the stars disappear, then there are shooting stars. Okay? Then he said, and I am, he's talking about who? Everybody's asleep tonight. Huh? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, and I am a source of security for my companions. And when I am gone, there will come to my companions what they are promised. What happened to the companions after the death of Rasulullah? Fitan. The doors of problems started. First, people left Islam. Then you have the problems that took place in some of the countries that Rasulullah wanted to send and the ta'un and the plague, and then the death of Umar, and then the killing of Uthman, and then the killing of Al-Hasan radiallahu anhu, and then the battle between Ali and Muawiyah, and then the battles between, and then the killing of Al-Husayn, and so on and so forth. So Rasulullah was that security. And then he said, my companions are a source of security for my ummah, that's us. So if my companions, or when my companions are gone, there will come to my ummah what they were promised. So from this hadith we take few things. Number one, the loss of the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is connected to the signs of the Day of Judgment in two cases. One, it is referring to the death of Rasulullah. Two, it is talking about the stars and the shooting stars. And also the hadith is referring to another sign that the scholars have taken from that the righteous will disappear one by one. The best and then the next best and then so on and so forth. The hour will only come upon Luka' ibn Luka', the most evil among people. So when you see righteous people dying, that's actually a sign of the Day of Judgment. Why? Because Yawm al-Qiyamah, the last hour, when it happens, it will only happen upon, or mostly, not when we're saying mostly means, let's say for example you have 1,000 people on earth living at that time. By the way, this civilization will disappear and you'll have less people living. That's also another sign we'll talk about inshallah, and how it will happen. Let's just say there's 1,000 people on earth, okay? Out of 1,000, you would have 850 or so of evil people and only 100 or some righteous people. So now, for that to happen, righteous people have to do what? Die. They leave. So Rasulullah said that the companions will leave. So now Rasulullah leaves, companions will leave. Do we have any companions living? Not humans, not jinn, by the way. I was just traveling recently and somebody told me, well, there's a jinn prophet, there's a jinn companion that someone is interacting with. We don't have righteous type. The Sahaba died. When the Sahaba died, the people who followed them are called what? Tabi'een, followers. They also died. All three generations of the Tabi'een died. The eldest, the middle, and the youngest. Then after the Tabi'een are the followers of the followers. Those people also died. So that when the time runs closer to the last hour, you have less of what? Righteous people and more of evil. Is it the case today? If you look on earth in general, of the number of people, how many human beings do we have on earth today? 8 billion? I'm just going to take your word for it. Wallah, I'm not into the mood of discussing. 8 billion. Out of 8 billion, how many believers? Just in general, don't count righteous Muslims. 2 billion. So we have 6 billion off. You get it? So out of the 2 billion, if we want to like filter the 2 billion, and we say how many Muslims, true Muslims from the 2 billion, you would have less. But in general, but you still have 2 against what? 6. So the number is what? So that's the scale. The more we get closer to the last hour, the less we have righteous people. And that's why the first generation went very quickly, which is the Sahaba of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So that's number 4. Number 5. Fathu Bayt al-Maqdis, the conquest of Jerusalem. We have Palestine. We have a body that is called Damascus. Damascus is which countries? Syria, Jordan, Palestine, and add Lebanon to it, you can. Okay? All of these areas are called what? Damascus area. Baytul Maqdis is Jerusalem. That's where Al-Aqsa is. In general, this area is blessed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Subhana alladhi asra bi'abdihi laylan min al-masjid al-harami ila al-masjid al-aqsa alladhi barakna hawla. Allah has blessed the surrounding area. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he encouraged people to die or to live and die in Al-Aqsa, in Palestine area or Damascus. He said, Al-Malaika, the angels will bestow their wings upon that area. Okay? The angels will bestow their wings upon that area. If one of you could die there, the best of people will be living in that area. So we know that this area is blessed. This area is chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is favored by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that even in the day of judgment, when the Dajjal comes out and Isa ibn Maryam comes, this is the major signs now, the entire battle between Dajjal and Isa ibn Maryam is in that area. Okay? قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إن الملائكة باسطوا أجنحتها على الشام طوبى للشام طوبى للشام طوبى للشام. Blessed is Damascus, blessed is Damascus, blessed is Damascus. He said, if you could live there, and if you die there, then you are chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to live and die in that area. Now, the conquest of Jerusalem, Al-Aqsa, I'm just going to give you a brief history because we want to finish on time, inshallah, or else it's a long, we'll talk about it later when we talk about Isa ibn Maryam and Dajjal. Who built Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa? طبعا people confuse two things. I don't know if you could see the story, but I don't know if you need glasses, that's your problem. We have Qubbat al-Sakhra, which is the dome, the yellow dome, that people think this is Al-Aqsa. That's not Al-Aqsa. Al-Aqsa is that masjid with a smaller dome on the side. But the one that is very famous is the yellow dome because that's where all the pictures are and most of the trouble is. Okay? Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa, who built it? Just brief history. Who built it? We actually don't know. The first thing we know is it the angels, like the angels set foundations. What we really know for sure is that there is 40 years, 40, between the building of Al-Haram, Al-Masjid Al-Haram, and the building of Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa. 40 years. Rasulullah sallam, he said, Abu Dharr said, Ya Rasulullah, which masjid was built first on earth? He said, Al-Masjid Al-Haram. Who built Al-Masjid Al-Haram? Allahu Alam. Could be Adam or the angels. They built it. Okay? That's where Al-Kaaba was. And then Nuh came. What happened at the time of Nuh? The flood. So it got destroyed. All the way to the time of Ibrahim. Ibrahim did not build Al-Kaaba. Ibrahim rebuilt Al-Kaaba upon the foundations. He said, وَإِذْ يَرْفَعُ إِبْرَاهِيمُ الْقَوَاعِدَ مِنَ الْبَيْتِ. There were foundations, and all Ibrahim did is what? He built it, because when he came here, when he came to Al-Kaaba, and he left his son, Ismail, as a baby, what did he say? What was the dua that he made, our Hafiz today? قال رب إني بواد غير ذي زرع عند بيتك. He said, I am leaving my child at عند بيتك المحرم, at your holy mosque. Was there a mosque? Because Allah said, who built Al-Kaaba? Rebuilt it? Ibrahim and Ismail. So, but he knew that this is the place of Al-Kaaba. He knew Al-Kaaba is here, somewhere here. This is the area of Al-Kaaba. But where exactly? He was told when Ismail grew older and he became a teenager and he came back, Allah said, here, find this area. They cleaned that area, they found the foundation, then they built Al-Kaaba. Now, between Al-Kaaba and Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa in Palestine, where all the trouble is going on, are 40 years. The first builder of Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa is Sulaiman. And he did not build one masjid. He built multiple masajid, and he called it what? Al-Haykal. That's why today, what they want to rebuild the Israeli military and their supporters. They want to rebuild what? Haykal Sulaiman. Well, Sulaiman did not just build one masjid. He built multiple masajid. And then the time passed on, okay? At the time after that, all the way to the time of Rasulullah. When Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah revealed to him Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa and Damascus area was under the Roman Empire, and the Christians were in control of that area. In a long battle that between them and the Jews, okay? And they corrupted the masjid in the worst that you could imagine. They're doing this because of who? Not Muslims, okay? Well, Muslims didn't come yet, okay? So we have Jews and Christians. The Christians fought over Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa. They took control for years. And the Roman Empire were the one controlling the Damascus area. So the Christians there wanted to tease who? The Jews, okay? It had nothing to do with Muslims. Muslims are not here yet. So they put the cross in Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa, figures of statues. And that's not the belief of the Jews, so they got very upset about it. They killed a lot of the scholars of the Jews there. They put pictures there, a lot of filth. So Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa became a place of filth instead of a place of worship. So the dream of the Prophet ﷺ was to do two. To conquest Mecca and Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa. Both. To free them from the filth of the disbelievers, whoever they are, and return them to the status that they're supposed to be a masjid, a house of Allah. Is that clear? Now, Rasulullah ﷺ was able to conquest Mecca in year 9. In year 10, he wanted to conquest Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa. But he couldn't do it ﷺ because he got very sick. So he appointed a very young companion. His name is Usama ibn Zayd. And he said Usama should lead the army. Who was in that army? Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, Umar ibn Khattab, Ali ibn Abi Talib, all the great Sahaba. Their leader was Usama. He was only 18 years old. And they complained, of course, some people complained. And they said, Ya Rasulullah, why would you send a young boy, a young child, like he's 18-year-old? He said, Subhanallah, you also complained about his father being appointed at Mu'tah. Okay, because he was, not because he was young, because he was Mawla, okay, a pre-slave, and he got freed. But we don't favor people based on their color, their skin, who they are. We base them on their ability. He is the best. But you have Abu Bakr and Umar, it doesn't matter. So when Rasulullah sallam, Usama wanted to leave, Rasulullah sallam got more sick. So Rasulullah sallam died, And the first thing that Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu did was to send the army of Usama out in the long story that you all know. And he said to Usama, would you, so look at the manners, the adab. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq came to Usama, he said, would you give me permission to stay behind? Because he is what, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq is what? A soldier in the army of Usama. Now he's going to become a Khalifa. But he's still a soldier. So he said, can you give me permission to stay? Because now I'm a Khalifa, I won't be able to leave. He said, yes, you can stay. He said, would you give me permission to keep Umar too? Because I want him to deal with certain matters. So he said, you both could stay behind. And Usama radiallahu anhu went out. Abu Bakr Siddiq 2 years. Usama radiallahu anhu had few battles with the Romans, with the Roman Empire. They couldn't defeat them as much. Anyway, when the time of Umar ibn Khattab came, Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu, he sent Abu Ubaidah. He said, you know what, the only one who could conquest Jerusalem and return al-Masjid al-Aqsa is Abu Ubaidah. So Abu Ubaidah took his army and he went to Damascus and he surrounded al-Masjid al-Aqsa and he surrounded them for months and he couldn't defeat them. Why? Because al-Aqsa, Jerusalem area, was, the inside of it was rivers, trees, markets, houses, gardens, so they didn't need anything from outside. So they told Abu Ubaidah, you could stay as long as you want, we have everything that we need here. We get married, we exchange, we go to the market, so we don't need to go outside to exit out. But we would only surrender if one person comes to this place. So Abu Ubaidah asked, they said, what's your name? He said, Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah. They said, then it's not you. You could stay here as long as you want. We will never surrender and we won't be defeated. Don't worry. Who's that person? Umar ibn Khattab. It was written in the books, in their books that they read and recited, that the Masjid al-Aqsa will be conquered by Muslims, by believers, and their leader is Umar. And subhanAllah, a beautiful story happened to Umar himself. Umar before Islam. This is before what? Islam. Umar became Muslim at age what? You guys are very good with history, mashallah. Huh? Umar became Muslim at age 30. Before that, Umar was not a Muslim. So he traveled, he was an ambassador. Okay? He traveled to Jerusalem for business. When he got there, he was standing, radiallahu anhu, in the market, and then he carried something on his hand and he was walking. A man saw him. He came out of his house. When he saw Umar, he thought that Umar is a worker, like a slave. So he pulled him from his clothes and he pushed him inside the house and he said, look, you didn't clean enough. And Umar said, I clean? Like, me? He said, yeah, you, go clean my house. So Umar, he wanted to argue with the man, but the man pushed him inside and closed the door and said, I won't open for you till you clean off. So Umar was, what's going on with this guy? Anyway, he was able to free himself. Umar, mashallah, he was able to free himself. Okay? The man caught him. They fought. Umar punched him in the face, killed him. Khalas, the man wanted to kill him. The man, he's like, you're my slave. He's like, I'm a slave. I'm an ambassador of Mecca. Now, if Umar said, yeah, fine, I'm a slave, Umar is going to turn into what? Into a slave. This is a slavery time. So Umar was like, no, I'm not going to give up on that. So they exchanged a fight. Umar killed him, radiallahu anhu. That's before Islam. Okay? And then he ran away. Because now it's going to be revenge. He's a stranger who lives in Damascus. So he ran away into like an isolated house of a worshipper. Rahib. Okay? So when Umar got to him, the man saw him and he said, come inside. He said, I'm escaping. I'm not from here. I'm from Mecca. And then he told him the story. The man looked at him and he said, what's your name? He said, Umar. He said, I will help you, but with one condition. He said, what? He said, I want you to write me a letter that says that I will be under your protection when you conquest Jerusalem. Umar said, what? Jerusalem? I need to escape now. I just killed somebody. And the guy is telling him, he said, Wallahi, your figure, how you look like, and your name, and what you're telling me who you are, one day you're gonna rule over this place, this whole country. Umar طبعا at that time he's not even thinking about, he's just thinking, how am I gonna get to Mecca? And the guy's telling him, he said, you know what? Wallahi, you're not living here because I'm a worshipper. And he was afraid that if a new religion comes in, this is what they used to do. If a new religion comes into town, what happened to the old religion? Gets killed and gets like, طبعا he didn't know about Islam. So he said, you know what? I want you to write me that letter. Umar said, Wallahi, I will write it for you. But give me a Bismillah. And he wrote to him a letter that's saying, I am Umar al-Khattab. You know, طبعا not Amir al-Mu'mineen. Umar is not even, he's an idol worshipper. And he left him, radiallahu anhu. And that's why he said to Abu Ubaidah, Wallahi, I recall all this. So Abu Ubaidah sent to Umar, and Umar radiallahu anhu came. When they saw him in the famous story, they knew he was Umar with two things. One, he was walking on foot. Two, his clothes was ripped, and he had like 17 holes in it. So Abu Ubaidah said to him, he said, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, this is how you're going to get the keys of Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa? Like, this is Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa. We're conquesting Jerusalem. We're taking Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa back. And this is how you're going to look like as a Khalifa. Wallahi, ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, if they see you like this, I'm afraid they would humiliate us. He said, Subhanallah. Ya Aba Ubaidah, law qalaha ghayruk. He said, if someone else other than you said it, Wallahi, ya Aba Ubaidah, you would have seen what I would done to him. But because I love you, I'm not going to... Umar radiallahu anhu was very brave, but at the same time was very religious too. He said, Ya Aba Ubaidah, نحن قوم أعزنا الله بالإسلام مهما ابتغينا العزة في غيره أذلنا الله. Look, wallahi brothers, and I'm going to leave you with this and maybe continue inshallah with Salahuddin because that's another conquest. We have 3 conquests of Jerusalem. 2 of them happened and one inshallah we're waiting for, and we hope to be part of it inshallah ya Rabb. So what did he say? Umar said, Ya Aba Ubaidah, we are only honored because of what? Because of Islam. Not how we dressed, not how we looked like we were nobody. Who are we before Islam? We were shepherds. Umar radiallahu anhu used to say to the Sahaba and used to tell them, look how idiots we were. They said, why you say that? He said, we used to make idols from dates. And when we get hungry, we eat them. Umar said, Wallahi, you know, I never thought of it. If I thought of it for a minute, I wouldn't ever worship an idol that is made from dates. How is he my God? I'm eating him. So he's saying to Abu Ubaidah, he's saying, don't ever look down, don't ever look at these things like how you dress like. This is a problem. He said, we are honored by Islam. When the Christians, when the priests saw Umar, and they came with the key of Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa, the first thing they noticed is how he looked like. They said the first sign we have is that you'll be walking on foot, not riding. You know how he... Huh? Okay, inshallah. So can we get the fans on or no? The little thing is not open? Or the AC is off too? Yeah? طيب. So he said, Wallahi, we are honored by Islam. If we seek our honor in other than Islam, or our dignity in other than Islam, Wallahi, we will be humiliated. Ya Aba Ubaidah, we came here to free the slaves of Allah from worshipping other than Allah. They said, the priest said, what's your name? He said, Umar. They said, this is the first sign. You're walking on foot. Then they said, let's count the holes in his clothes. Can you imagine the Khalifa of the Muslims? Umar is not just a normal person, Khalifa of the Muslims. And he's wearing clothes. And the story with him walking is that his servant, it was his servant's ride. They only had 1 camel. So Umar would ride on it for 1 hour. And then he would get down and his servant would ride for 1 hour because it's a long walk or a long drive. So to Umar, it was his turn. So his servant said, Aslam, he said, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, we're getting very close to Jerusalem. You stay on because I don't want you to be walking. And Umar said, is it your turn or my turn? He said, it's my turn. Then he said, then it's your right. And Umar decided to walk. They came to a muddy area. Umar stepped in it to cross. Okay, and then all his clothes was full of mud. And that's why Abu Ubaidah was surprised to see him like that. But Umar didn't care about any of that. And he conquested Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa. year 16 of Hijrah, and he purified it from all the disbelief, and he built a masjid there that's known to be Masjid Umar radiallahu anhu arda, the second conquest of Al-Aqsa. We'll talk about it next week, inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan. Sallallahu ala nabiyina Muhammad. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Next week, inshallah. We have an important announcement. Well, short or long, I am done.